Hey guys, so I am very passionate about video games. I love to play all sorts of games, and Game Pass has been really amazing for me. The amount of different games I've been able to try and beat has been staggering. And now there's a really neat feature being beta tested that has me really excited, and it will make Game Pass even more accessible. You know, I have friends and family that this could be really good for, since they don't really want to commit to buying another console. So the title of this video already gave this away. It's Microsoft XCloud. So XCloud is a way for players to have access to the Game Pass library without needing a physical Xbox or a powerful PC. And the way it works is the Azure Cloud dynamically provisions a virtual Xbox, the input is streamed through to the virtual Xbox, and then the video output is encoded to a codec, such as H.264 or H.265. So any device with a hardware-accelerated decoder can make use of this, given that they have a provided app or the capability of using a web browser. So technical jargon set aside, what this means is that you can play Game Pass games through a smart TV, or on your Google Chrome or Firefox. Even other gaming consoles is a possibility, like say Nintendo allowed for the Game Pass app on their platform. Then you could play Xbox games on your Switch. How cool is that? So the big limiting factor here will be internet speed and stability. So to give an idea of the speed I have, I tested mine with speedtest.net, and I was getting around 134 down and around 24 up, with a ping of around 17. And with these speeds, I have zero issues with streaming movies or playing video games online, such as one of my favorites, Final Fantasy XIV. So now, let's take a look at how the XCloud performs. I wanted to be as thorough as possible, so I tested it on multiple devices. The first way that I looked at it was on Linux, which isn't explicitly supported by XCloud, but it's not locked out either. And as for the controller that I used, it was an Xbox controller, and I used the official wireless adapter to connect it to my PC. And the game I tested across all devices is Hi-Fi Rush. This is a newer title to Game Pass, and it combines beat-em-up action with rhythm game precision, and I think it's a ton of fun. I also thought that this would be a great test, because timing and accuracy in these types of games is really important, and it would be very noticeable if there were latency problems, or if the controls weren't being responsive. And I am happy to report that I didn't experience any lost inputs, and it felt very responsive. And please, don't judge me by my performance here. I haven't exactly mastered this game. This is about as well as I play, even when it's downloaded. So the controls are fine, but where issues started to crop up was with the graphics. Sometimes the resolution would become blurry, somewhat muddy looking, and there was also cases of pixelation. It kind of reminded me of playing an SNES game when there was dust in the cartridge, and then the stages would get a bit glitchy looking. Now, what surprised me was that this had no impact on the controls. I didn't notice any latency issues, and I didn't lose any inputs. It was all visual, which you still don't want, obviously. It makes it really hard to see what you're doing, and that's not exactly fun. Now, something I only noticed after replaying it on my Xbox, where I have it downloaded, is that the frame rate seems lower when you're playing it through the XCloud. The movement feels smoother when you have it downloaded. So that's what happened when I was playing through Linux, which, like I said, it's not explicitly supported, so I thought maybe these issues were due to that. So the next place that I tested it was on a Windows OS, using the same web browsers. Long story short, it was virtually the same experience. My next test was trying Hi-Fi Rush on the Xbox Series X, playing it through the XCloud. To do that, unfortunately, I had to delete the download of the game, because they don't let you run it through the XCloud if you already have it downloaded. So this time, I didn't have any of those pixelation or blurriness problems. When it came to the controls, I experienced no lost inputs, and it felt just as responsive as it was on the web browsers. But it still didn't feel as buttery smooth as it does when you have it downloaded. It's like, if you play a game in 30 FPS first, you might not notice anything, but then when you try it in 60 FPS, it's like, oh, yeah, that's smooth. Now, it's not game-breaking by any stretch of the imagination, but I do know some players are much more sensitive to these sort of things. So it's looking like the Xbox app is the way to play at the moment. I even tried it on my Windows OS using the Xbox app, and it played just like it did on the Xbox. The last test I did was on my smartphone, using the Xbox app, and the game looked amazing. The graphics were vibrant and really popped off the screen, and there were no problems with pixelation or blurriness. Really, the only issue I had on my phone was my controller, which is the Razer Kishi, and the problem with it is the way it fit in my hands and the button layout made it very clunky for me to use. But the responsiveness and movement in the game all felt on point. It actually felt like it did when I had it downloaded. So I was really surprised with just how well it worked on the phone. I thought going through the Wi-Fi would cause a lot more problems. Outside of my controller, I thought the phone looked and played the best. So the web browsers are the weakest link here. And from what I've been told, the likely reason for this is because the web browsers use the older H.264 codec, and the Xbox app uses the newer H.265 codec. So hopefully that can all be ironed out. Anyways, I think this is all very promising. It's basically Netflix for gaming, and I think that's really cool. I remember when it was unthinkable that you could stream a movie through the internet, and now we are getting to the point where streaming video games is becoming a real thing. As for a future feature that I would love to see, I think it would be awesome if they allowed you to play any game that you own digitally through the XCloud. I have no idea if that is even remotely possible or how hard it would be to implement, but it would be cool. So what do you all think about the XCloud? Are you excited for it? Have you tried it? Let me know in the comments below. And that will be all for this one. Please like and subscribe, and until next time, bye!